Hi guys, let's just have a chat about what's happened today because I was bullish about these markets to the extent that we had seen a new low in the euro and a close above. So this little trend line here in the euro daily was broken, and we did a very clean technical pullback to that area and blasted up on Drahi's comments. Comments which he's made before. In other words, he is saying he will do anything to save the euro. So what I'm looking for now is, I think we will, where do we go from here? Well, US GDP tomorrow, if we are okay with the US GDP, I would expect a pullback around about the 122.40 area, and I don't, I mean, if the GDP is good, then we'll see 125. If not tomorrow, into next week. But what I suspect will happen is, this is a bit of a head and shoulders here, shoulder, head. So we may get a move back down here to create the shoulder before wiggling around to get up to 125. But if we get to 125, I think we'll see a lot of selling. I think the sellers would love to get short at 125. A close above 125, that's a different story. Okay, we have a look at the fibs. This is the fibs on the last big move. So the fibs would suggest we could even see 126, 128, or if it's a full retrace, 129, 130. Okay, but let's just take it one step at a time. Who knows, it could even just roll over from here. We've got a lot of resistance here. Get some poor GDP from the US tomorrow, and that could just fail at this resistance and just roll back over and head towards 118, 115, who knows. But at the moment, this is a clear signal to me that the reversal is underway. It's just a question to what extent it is. But I'm certainly not going long the euro, so I'm not suggesting for 1 minute you go long the euro, but it's a leading indicator, that's why I'm looking at it. We've got a good hour and 10 minutes before the Dow closes. At the moment, we're still holding up. The hourly chart has held the 8 EMA ever since Drahi spoke this morning. So at the moment, there's nothing to suggest we are going to see any kind of sell off into the close, but let's just not count our chickens. So check your charts by the time you come to the screens tomorrow if you're a day trader. We spent 6 weeks holding this trend line. So last week we had a double top drop. We've been trapped in this range between 12.5 and 13,000. Tomorrow is telling. Now we are above all the moving averages. The 8 EMA is down here at 750. So that could be, if this is going to hold and potentially break out of here, then something like 750, 800 is the level to get in. Is it swing tradable? No. You've got a double, with this amount of resistance up here, we'd need very good GD figures to blast through that. And if you're a swing trader, you just can't rely on that. You're going to have to wait and see where we close on Friday and assess it over the weekend. But on the face of it, like I said, there's still no sign whatsoever, just as we were coming into the last hour, that this market could sell. So the bulls are just hanging in there. Right. This is, the markets have been doing this. I mean, the UK came in with terrible GDP yesterday, minus 0.7%, way below expectations, and yet we've got one of the biggest moves for ages, possibly even over the last 12 months. I'm just scanning the bars there. That's just about one of the biggest bars over certainly the last 6 months, and we've seen some big sell-offs as well in that period. I wasn't long this one. I was long the pound yen. Let's just look at this pound US dollar for a minute. This is I've been a bull pound. I didn't expect this to even sink this low. I thought the pound would hold here and start to wind up, but I guess that was too much to ask in front of GDP. But we saw this with non-farm payroll a couple of months back. You know, the Dow had terrible figures, made a new low the next day, and shot up like the pound. But what did I see in these charts that made me think that the pound US and the pound yen could do this? Well, like I said, the Dow was holding a trend line for 6 weeks. The euro had a reversal signal, and there's no sell-off. When this figure came in, I got short quite low down, so I got out for break even, because in the past when I've seen weak GDP figures, it's just dropped through the floor. It just didn't happen yesterday, so I closed my position for a tiny loss after being in it for a huge chunk of the day, and reversed it in the form of the pound yen. So we're above the fib zone. So where do we go from here? I think I pull back to 156.36 to see if we can get up to 157.83. Major support. If you're going to do that on a swing trading basis, you've got to get your stop down there at 154.45, which is a big stop. What's next? We need to look at. Let's look at this pound yen that I took. This is how I had my pound yen daily chart drawn yesterday before this happened, and what I was seeing was just a very tight compression of price here with a stopping bar. And I haven't used a stopping bar as a swing trade signal for a while, so nice to see that the stopping bars are coming back. And so I just saw this trend line coming across the highs, pivoting on that low here after that big run up. And I thought this sort of sell-off was pretty pathetic. A drop, big buy, ekes down, holds, gets bought, gets bought, gets bought, gets bought, and they drop it right back down to support. Huge support here and here. Oh, sorry, you can't see this. There's huge support here as well, to the left just of your screen. So that's why I was looking at these markets to get in back end of yesterday, just in front of the close yesterday, because of the way they held so well, and they're holding up extremely well now, as is the Dow into the last hour. So a pullback to 122 on this pound yen if you're not in it, and then let's see if this can start to bust out of that, because that is, that kind of wedge setup is my favourite setup. Right, let's swing across to a couple of other charts. Aussie US, not as strong but still did well. For me, this is a major area of resistance. If we get any kind of reversal bars there into the weekend, I would look to short that one. I think this is we've had these little waves up. The waves are getting much shorter and weaker to me. I think if that breaks that area there, I want to get short to see if we can come down to these lows and possibly even break them. So doing nothing with the Aussie US at the moment. I'm a big fan of the pound, so I've been tracking this pound Aussie dollar very, very closely. Just tidy this up a second. So you can see today we've tested this 150. Now, stupidly, I didn't take this one. I didn't want to load the boat up with the pound. wanted to spread my risk, so I was already in the pound yen and didn't want to get into this one. But I think this is getting ready to go. I think this test of 150 and the buying of the 150, I think is getting ready. If we break 151 tomorrow, I think we can retest 153 pretty quick. It's a hammer. It's got major support. It's off a big round number. It ticks a lot of boxes. Let's have a look at fibs. Let's just close out the... Yeah, so we rejected the fibs when I was... No, I was long up here, wasn't I? So we rejected the fibs 2 days back, and now we've got bought. So I just need to get rid of that one. So we need to close above 152 tomorrow for confirmation of this, but I think if we test that trend line again, I think we'll break and we should be up to 155, 65, maybe over the process of next week if that works out. You could try and get a pullback to 150.50. Not sure it'll test it. I expect the volatility tomorrow, so it could well do it. Obviously the stop's got to be under the 150 level. Aussie CAD has moved up well. So look at the dollar pairs. Yeah, see the weakness in the dollar. So the move up in this pound is reflected in the weakness in the dollar pairs. And there's the US dollar continuing to move to the downside. Okay, so the US dollar was a signal yesterday as well, because that already had a lot of selling prior to today's drop. Pound CAD is a very messy chart, just matching yesterday's price action pretty much. Okay, let's look at gold. We didn't get a pullback to 1600, it only pulled back to about 1602, 1601, which is a great shame. So that's, you know, huge. Once you get a break out of these wedges, they can fly quite aggressively. If you want to get into that one, I would try and get 1610. If you see 1610 tomorrow, then that is a buy. US dollar yen. I'm still long this one. So we had a sort of doji type stopping bar type bar yesterday. I close above today. It's still really feeble. It's not convincing, but I've got a tight stop down here. So a low risk trade, and all eyes on tomorrow. This is a massive trend line here coming along the bottom. If you want to get into this one, I would suggest you take a break of 78.20 with a stop, very tight stop of about 30, 40 points underneath it. Right, oil. A relatively weak close. I expected this to be a little bit higher. I guess, you know, it's all eyes on tomorrow. We're back in the fib zone. Nice neat pullback to 88 today, and we've closed 89.50. At one stage we touched 90.50, so, you know, decent move up on that dry east beach, and then they just pull it back, getting ready for tomorrow. So if we close above 92.75 either tomorrow or early next week, this oil is very bullish. It's a higher high, a higher low, 2 days of higher closes, so it's still very bullish. And the pit close was fairly strong, not convincing but fairly strong. Okay, so just to recap, US GDP tomorrow. So be very, very careful. The pound US and the pound yen are great for pullbacks, not touching the euro. We'll wait until after the data for the Dow, and then we'll see how the oil reacts. Okay, like the pound Aussie dollar, like the gold on a pullback to 1610. Alright, I hope that helps, and happy trading.